Hey y'all, it's Chrissy Cook from Teadoddles. It's time for episode 16 of Teadoddles Talks. Last week I had a shorter episode. I wasn't feeling that great. I'm feeling much better this week. Or today, I should say. This week has been a struggle still. But first I would like to say welcome new subscribers. And welcome back subscribers. I'm happy to have y'all here. Listening to me talk about my crafty endeavors. It's always fun to meet new people that like to make things, no matter what it is. I enjoy talking with y'all in the comments and the emails. It's just fun to hear from everybody. It's been a really fun thing for me to do. So if you're looking for me on any kind of social media, there are links down below to anything I'm on, and you can just look for Teadoddles. That's what I am, just about anywhere that I'm at on social media, as well as my Etsy shop and my website. So, I'm drinking out of my Farm Hair Don't Care cup today, even though I do not have a farm, nor do I live on a farm. I do like digging in the dirt and growing things, and I do want some chickens and goats one day, but I just really like this cup. My mother had one. I told her I liked it. She got me one for Christmas. So today I have a very fresh cup of coffee. This is Walmart brand French roast coffee with the Keurig. It's quite good. I put some heavy cream in it and a splash of coconut flavored creamer. I can't remember. I think it's coconut caramel or something like that. I don't know. It's quite delicious. So I don't have that much admin today as I did the last one, which I was just trying to get through some stuff last time. I would like to say that the winner of my last month's giveaway, red gingerbread, I'm gonna put her up here because she has a podcast as well. Well, she just started a crochet podcast. She was doing videos for recipes and stuff. She has some quite tasty things, so you need to go check her out. And I just wanted to tell her that I owe you a PDF of the pattern still. And I haven't sent that yet because I need to make the PDF, which I'll be working on today. This is Saturday afternoon. I am trying my best to get these recorded earlier so that they won't come out so late, but that hasn't happened yet. I still had to go wash all my clothes at my parents' house because my dryer is still on the fritz and I haven't got a new one yet. So that is very time consuming and not fun, but you know, gotta wash the clothes. Let's see, what else has gone on this week? Well, this week was a trying week for me. Like I said, my energy levels were low, very, very low. Those that don't know, I don't have a thyroid anymore from having thyroid cancer about 6 years ago. So sometimes that gets to a point where I can't do much more than what I have to do. So this week, all I've wanted to do, I had to go to work, which I teach. I'm an adjunct drafting instructor, and so I have to drive 45 minutes to my first class in the mornings, and then have a little lunch break, and then I come back this way for my afternoon class. And then when I got home, I just really wanted to sit and crochet and watch videos because I did not feel like doing anything else. And then sometimes I would cook supper sometimes and other cleaning chores, so you know, just had to do what I had to do. Nothing too much extra. So my energy levels are back on the upswing, so I am feeling much better, but that also means I have lots of things to catch up, which is always fun. I have a lot of computer work I need to do, which is not my favorite, but I need to get it done and get it caught up. I have 3 podcasts that I haven't done show notes for still, and I'm going to have to do it for this one. So I'm going to have to just do those a little shorter, just have the links and quit trying to explain things again, which it's just a habit, I think, because I have a blog to explain things again. But if you watch the show, you know the explanation, so it's really not necessary. All right, let's see. I don't have much in the way else of admin of anything other than if you want me to, I'm doing Valentine's Day cards this month. If you want me to send you one, you need to email me at this address your mailing address so that I could send that to you. And I will put the email down below, and try to triple check and make sure it's the correct email. It's this twice now I put the wrong email and people haven't been able to email me. I don't know, y'all. You would think by now I'd have it down. I have a thing I copy and paste out of my notes or whatever it is on my computer. So I don't have to remember that stuff, but it's not in there for some reason. I need to put it in there so then I can just copy and paste and not have to remember it and type it in wrong. Yay. So, like I said, this week hasn't been too exciting. I did have, let's see. That was actually last Thursday. We did the Student of Excellence. I think I may have talked about that just a little bit. Maybe I didn't. I have to pick a Student of Excellence. I think it's usually in the spring and fall semester. And then we have to go with the other people that they put together. I don't know why they put the certain departments together, but at the school, I don't know how they decide that, but so my student and I have to get up on the stage, and then I say something about the student, and then the student has to speak, and then they get their picture taken, and an award, and a t-shirt, and all that good stuff. So that's always fun to do, talking in front of people. It doesn't bother me super a lot, but sometimes I have all this stuff I want to say, and then I forget what I'm going to say when I get up there talking. So, yeah, it's not my favorite thing to do. But the student was very happy. His parents got to come and see him, so that was exciting for him. Otherwise, this week, it was super cold at the beginning, and I know not near as cold as many people up further north. Y'all are having they said it was as cold as Antarctica up there, which I could not imagine, because it was 28 degrees when I went to work Tuesday, which is very cold for me since I live in the very south of Georgia, USA. So yeah, that was too cold for me, so I couldn't imagine it being the temperatures that I've been seeing from Instagram posts and YouTube videos and everything. I would never go outside. I would have to have a job where I could just stay inside, because I can't really tolerate the cold that well. Since I don't have a thyroid, that's kind of like your thermostat. It controls your metabolism and everything. So it's harder for my body to adjust to the temperature changes, just going from the inside to the outside. It's just it makes me very achy. So that was on top of everything else going on. Anyway, it's warmer. It's supposed to be up into the 70s this coming week, which is just crazy. It's been like that here lately. It'll drop 30 degrees sometimes after a rain, and then gradually build back up, and then it's a little too much fluctuation for me. I'd rather have a steady temperature of something for a while. Anyway, moving on. I did want to say I haven't updated anything in my Etsy shop since the beginning of the year. I have plans for some things. It's just finding the time and energy to sew those things. So I'm hoping to get to work on that some this weekend and this coming week. So hopefully before the end of this month, I will have a shop update. I have some plans for some hook holders for knitting and crochet, and for anything you want to use it for, like your color pencils, your drawing pencils, your paintbrushes. So yeah, that would be my plan, to make it something that's useful for many makers and not just certain makers. So what else? Oh, I wanted to show you this coffee mug that my parents got me, and the only reason I'm not drinking out of it is because it's huge. I mean, I like big mugs, but this one is like soup mug. So this is what they got me. Don't make me use my teacher voice, which I really like. But it's quite, you just compare to this mug, it's quite big. This one's tall and narrow, but this is almost as tall and way wider. Excuse me. So it'd be good for soup or something like that. If I'd put enough coffee in here to fill this up, it'd be cold before I got to the bottom of it. I guess I don't have to fill it up, but I mean, why not fill it up? It's big enough. Sorry guys, I had to pause for a little bit because contacts, I wear contacts, and everything was blurry. I couldn't really tell if this thing was focusing on me or if it's focused on other stuff. It's still a little blurry. I don't know what's going on with that, but I thought maybe I had put them in the wrong eye. I have 2 different prescriptions for each eye, and sometimes I mix them up. It happens. My husband doesn't seem to understand how that could happen, but it does. If I got the lids that have left or right on them, if I got them turned around, whatever, it happens. Stuff happens sometimes. So the other thing I wanted to share with y'all before we move on to the fun stuff, these vitamins I've been taking. They are Ollie Women, the Perfect Women's Multi. I don't know why they consider them the perfect, but they're gummies. And I found them at my CVS. They kind of look like that. Little sugary gumdrops. And I don't know if any of y'all, when I was younger, I took the Flintstone vitamins. And I always loved them. They were so good. And I was always asking my mom if I could have another one. But of course the answer was no, because you're supposed to take one a day. These smell just like those Flintstone vitamins when you open them up. And they are delicious, which is crazy. But I've tried, I think it comes in another orangey flavor, this is Blissful Berry, and it has natural flavors in it, which could be anything, but they have some coloring from carrot, blueberry, and chokeberry juices. I don't know, but I should take a multivitamin every day. Most of us should. Most of us really don't get the vitamins we need from our food, but I feel better when I take a multivitamin, and then there's some other vitamins I take extra of at certain times. But I could never find a vitamin. I don't like the big ones you swallow. They leave a bad taste in my mouth, and it just makes me not want to take them. And then I've tried other gummies, and they're usually just kind of too chewy, too hard or something. I don't know. These right here, I love these, which means I take them every day because I love them. And so it's like my adult Flintstone vitamin. So You may want to check them out. There are, it's like between $15 and $16 for this, but there's 90 gummies. You take 2 a day, so it's enough for 45 days. So yeah, that's about 30 cents a dose. Is that right? Yeah. 45 days, about $15. 15 goes into 45 3 times, so 30 cents a dose. I think that's right. Or 15 cents a gummy, which is not too bad. Most of them only have 30 days in them, so it's well worth it for me for something that I actually like to take and will take. So just thought I'd share that with y'all. I'm not their sponsor or anything like that. I just like them. Let's see, is there anything else I wanted to go over? I think I did a lot of that. Oh, in my Facebook group, we've just started the February challenge. February's challenge is to work on crafty stretches. So, as a maker, a lot of times we get really into what we're making. We have a really intense crochet or knitting session or sewing session or just whatever we're making. We get all hunched over like this making. That can really wreak havoc on our bodies, and it can really damage our most important tools, which is our hands. Give us backaches, brain aches. So I did a blog post all about it, and with some links to different things to help improve the way you're sitting when you're working, to make sure you exercise those hands to keep from getting aches as much, especially if you have any kind of arthritis in your hands. That's an important thing to do. It may seem frustrating to stop and do those stretches, but it's going to make you a more productive maker, right? If you take care of your body. And I'm not talking about regular exercise. I'm talking about stretches to loosen things up, to get rid of those aches and pains, to be more mindful of how you're sitting. I used to sit at a desk 8 to 10 hours a day as a drafter at my computer. I was very bad about tucking my knees up under me and putting it on the back of the chair. And I would be all up in the computer like this, right? And at some point, I woke up one morning with I call it a kink in the left side of my neck. I couldn't even turn my head fully to that way. It hurt. It stayed there for a week, would not go away no matter what I did. So I went to see a chiropractor, and he told me it was because of the way I was sitting in my office chair. And I'll let you look at the links about how you're supposed to sit ergonomically to keep stresses off of your parts of your body. Like my problem was that I was leaning my head forward too much, and it causes your shoulder muscles to have to support your head. Your head's heavy, y'all. It's got all those maker brains in it, right? So your shoulders are not designed to hold up your head. Your head's supposed to be like sitting centered over your shoulder, and your neck muscles in here are supposed to help support all of that. So when they did the x-rays for me, you could see shadows on the x-ray of my muscle, which is not something you typically see because your muscle's not supposed to show up on the x-ray, but it's because they were contracting. They were having spasms constantly. So I had to have them, he said he told me you should look directly at your monitor or slightly up at it. That's the best way to look at your monitor when you're looking at things. So they made me a little wooden stand to put my monitor on. And if I pay attention to the way I'm sitting and sit correctly, I have less tension headaches. I have less shoulder and back pain and low back pain, something I've had to pay attention to as a teacher because I'm constantly bending over to help my students on their computers with something. And I've had to realize that I have to sit down sometimes to do that, especially if I'm going to be standing there a long time, because standing bent over like that, it makes my low back hurt. So it's just something to think about. And I felt like if we spent this month being more conscious of that and practicing that, it becomes a good habit, something you do on a regular basis versus, and it's just something to be mindful of. You can get injuries and put yourself out of the making game for a while if you don't don't do things like you're supposed to. So I will put that link down below. Well, I'll put it in my show notes, which I promise I'm going to do. I promise I'm going to do them. We'll be working on it while this is rendering and all the stuff it has to do. So, yeah, I will link to that. And then you can check out my Facebook Teadoddles Makers group. I have a Makers Finish Along Challenge going on this year. Last month we were cleaning up our maker spaces so that we could make a list of UFOs or unfinished objects so that we could, my space to some people seems messy. For me as a maker, it's just how I need it, because I can see everything and grab it as I need it. But there comes a point when my work surfaces get too covered and I have to clean them off, right? And I need to reorganize, rethink things. And that's what we were doing last month to make it a better space for us to create in. Because when you're constantly hunting for something, it takes away from your making time. So that was what we did last month. And I had lots of people share all their maker spaces. That was fun to see. And then I pulled a winner. You can check out my Facebook group to see who the winner was for the $20 Amazon gift card, which I'm doing on a monthly basis. I draw it at the first of the month for the last month. There are, in the file section of that maker group, there are printables for the schedule, for a UFO list, and I just uploaded a maker challenge calendar with the first 2 months filled in. The other ones you'll have to fill in yourself as I tell you what they are. So, all right. So I think that's all the admin or anything I have to do. So, we need to move right along, don't we? All right. Time for yarny goodness. I'm super excited because I have some finishes to share with y'all this week. Especially since I didn't really share any of that last week. So the first thing is this thing that I'm wearing over my shoulders. This was the beginnings of an Afghan. You'll see something I got to weave in there that I missed, but yeah, this was from a crochet along. I started, I want to say it was 2016. It may have been 2017, but it was from Beatrice Ryan Designs. I think that's correct. I'll have the correct one up here. It's her crochet along. She does an Afghan one almost every year, and then she has smaller ones in between. So I just knew I would never finish this. So I just went around the edge, the last row that I had been working on. That little bobbly looking thing. Let's see. Focus. Yeah. It's really just a single crochet, then a double crochet. That's all it was. So I did that all the way around. The side edges got really ripply. I should have done a better job of weaving in my ends before I crocheted over the top of it. But anyway, I decided to turn it, it's just like a little wrap. So it's kind of like a mini Afghan that I can just wrap around my shoulders if I get cold while I'm sitting somewhere. It's not very practical to wear around, walking around or anything, because it falls off. But, and I may decide to like just tack together these corners to help it stay put a little better. But this is something I'll just wear around the house when I get cold, just for something to throw on because it's easy to take off and on. It's not something that I'll be wearing outside. I do love some of the stitches in it, especially love this little area here, the way it's done. This is Red Heart with Love in Peacock and Tan. So, and I have washed this and I just laid it to dry. I didn't really block it, so I'm going to take it off because it keeps falling. But that is something I finished up, which wasn't much to it. Like I said, I just did that stitch around the edge to finish it off. So, and washed it and blocked it. So then I also, I got this one time with a Red Heart order. It was this little sample of chick sheep yarn, which I think is by from Marley Bird for Red Heart Crochet. And it had a little pattern in here for that rose on the front. So I decided to do that. And this is 100% wool. It's very soft. I actually managed, I've got them all tied together. With that little ball of yarn, I managed to make 2 roses and a little rosebud. So, I don't know what I'm going to do with these yet, but it's pretty simple, a little pattern. I'm going to fluff them up, I guess. They're kind of squished from being in the plastic bag. And the little rosebud, which, yeah, there you can see them better. Yeah, so I thought that was neat that they sent that little sample, but they also sent a little pattern for you to try it out. I did like the yarn. I don't know if they still sell it or not. I've had this for a little while. But I did get it last year, but it is 100% wool yarn. Chick Sheep by Marley Bird is what it's called. So, very soft. Not itchy at all, but a very soft yarn. I think it is super washed, but I'm not completely sure. But so I finished that little thing, which I've got to, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I may just, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Anyway, so the other thing that I finished is a pretty major finish. So hold on. Just had to grab it. I finished my Moreland blanket. I'm very excited about this. You will note that there are still ends hanging out over here. I started weaving end on this end, and then I decided I didn't want to weave in all that, and I started kind of braiding some ends together. Yeah. And I also decided not to put the border on it, so you'll notice that too. I just wanted to be done with it. I've been working on this for 2 years, and I wanted to be done. So I have used this at night over my other blanket on my bed. So I will work on those ends a little bit each night. I think I'm just going to leave them braided like that and trim off the ends. Because I don't want to deal with weaving all that in, and that's the honest truth. But let's see if I can get, I'll try to show, I'm going to show from the other side so all those things aren't hanging out. This is a very big, I haven't measured it, but here is this end. And then as we move up, you'll see the color changes. And then we start getting into the sky at the end. So, yeah. And this was based on her view of the moorland where she lives. This is from Attic 24. It's the moorland blanket. I did order the kit for this. This was a crochet along she did in 2017. Yes, 2017. So, I ordered the kit, and it took me forever to do. This is in a DK weight yarn, Stylecraft, double knit special Stylecraft, I believe is what it's called. So yeah, I'm very happy to be done with this, but I love this blanket. My mother asked me if this was a gift for someone, and I said no. It's a gift for myself. The only person I probably would give this to would be, well, I have some other people, but I told my mom she'd be one of the only people I would give it to because I know she would take care of it. But yeah, this is for me, just for me, and I'm very excited to be done with it. You can see how much lighter it is on the other side. I love all the colors. This had 115 color changes, so 230 rows is what it had. And I don't have a measurement for this, but it's very big. It's wide enough to be, the width of it is at least a twin or better. Twin, yeah. And then the length is, it's taller than me, and I'm 5'8", so big finish for me. I do have, this is all the yarn I have left, and mostly that's because I didn't do the border. It wouldn't have used up the rest of this, but I just didn't want to do the border, y'all. I just didn't want to, so I didn't, and that's okay. So I have to weigh what I have left, but in my yarn yardage chart that I'm keeping up with for the year, I did that had over 4,000 yards in it. I include my whips in it until they're done, so that took away over 4,000 yards of yarn, because my yarn total is over 74,000. So that drops me down to about 70,000. That's a big finish for me. The one I showed you before I didn't have in there because it was just the border, so I didn't include that in there. All right, let's move on to some whips. Buzz in my mouth or something. Ooh. All right, so this is something I recently started on YouTube. Seta from Seta's Place is having a, let's see, not focused. Focus on me. There we go. Seta from Seta's Place is having a calendar cow, which is a crochet along. And she has a picture on her calendar she'll show, and you're supposed to use the colors from the picture for that section. You have, she's basing it on making a table runner or a bed runner. So it's 12 inches wide. So you do 5 inches each month. So I have January's. This is my January. These are both, no, the dark blue is the same blue in my other, the Peacock Red Heart with Love. And this teal is Vanna's Choice. And I don't have a tag with me, so I'll try to put that up here. The colors for this and all the information right here. And I'm just doing stitches. I'm working out different stitches, and my plan is to use this as a sampler for the Afghan crochet along I want to do this year in July. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to put this at the end of my bed because I have dogs that get on my bed, or I'm planning on hanging this as a wall hanging. That's what I'm planning on doing. I have a narrow space beside my mantle shelf that it will fit perfectly. So I haven't done February's, which was greeny colors. So what I'm planning on doing is, since this is a tealy green, I'm going to start the new color and blend it in with this one. And then when I start the next, it'll be kind of like I transfer one of the colors to the next one. That's my plan anyway. And these are just different stitch patterns I've been working out. I really need to write that down so I can remember what this looks like, because I didn't write it down. I'm hoping I can go back through and figure out what I did, but we'll see how that goes. I like this one because it's something narrow, and like I said, it gave me another purpose to work on things. Of course, if I start the Afghan before, it'll be before we get all the calendars, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so my other whip that I worked on this year is my very first Jimmy Bean's crochet club, which I did a whole video about that subscription if you want to check that out, with this circle cowl. I'll show this side because you can see the layout better here. I have 24 circles, so I haven't actually sewed any of these together, but I did get all the ends woven, except this is what you're supposed to join it with. So because you had to weave in the center start where this color ends and then where this dark purple begins on all of these circles. So that took a little bit of time, especially since this is very small crochet. But I got all those done, and I'll be joining those together soon, hopefully. And then you join them together. I don't think you crochet between them, and then you crochet around the top and bottom edges. So that's what I have left to do on that one. Maybe I'll have it done next week. And the other thing that I did, which I'm very excited about, I talked a little bit about this last week. I'm learning to knit, finally. I'm so excited about this, y'all. And this is just there's no pattern to this. It's just me learning different stitches. On the bottom, I practice my knit and purl, knit a row, purl a row, so it looks like that on the back. You can see my starting loops are rather large. And then you can kind of see it gets a little tighter as you go up, because I'm getting better with my tension. And then this section was me practicing a stitch to give a ribbed look, because it looks the same on the front and the back. And really, from what I can tell with knitting, you really just have knit and purl, and you just do it in different ways to make different stitches. So just the way you move it off of your hook, or your needle. So, and you can see I've really knocked the paint off of these. I know some people were complaining about that with these. These are the darn good yarn needles you get in the beginning, but for me, I think the reason that it finally clicked with me is because I was trying to hold my needle, my thread, as I do my crochet, because I've crocheted for years, and this is the way I hold tension on my crochet, right? That does not work for me with knitting. For me, it was better for me to just let my yarn hang and move it where I need it. And that worked the best for me. Plus, I think having these shorter needles helped, because I was trying to learn on those really long metal ones, and they were just really awkward to hold. So I think that's what it was. So now I'm not buying any knitting supplies yet, because I am on a Crafty buying restriction until March or spring. I'm making a list of things that I need, though. I need some of those little stopper things you put on the end to keep your stuff from falling off, because unlike with crochet where you can put a stitch marker and take your hook out, you cannot do that with knitting. You have to leave it on the needle. I also would like a set of needles with the interchangeable, with the cables, or whatever it is that I see people using for longer projects, and some double pointed needles, I think it is, for making socks. So those are some things on my list. If you are a knitter and you have any suggestions, I would love to know down in the comments. I'm very excited about this. It is definitely more time consuming than crochet, but I enjoy doing it, right? I can do the stitches, whereas before I just had trouble altogether getting the stitches, and it was not fun at all because it just seemed like I wasn't getting anywhere with it. Now I can just do a little bit on this every evening, and I am getting somewhere. So you can see right here that my purl stitches are facing out instead of my knit stitches, and that was just, I forgot which way I was going, but I kind of like the way that looks, so I left it in there. And then up here at the very top, if this will focus, come on, focus, focus. All right, well, I'm doing a knit one, purl one rows just to see how that looks, because I'm just playing around with stuff. As I'd said before, Happy Berry Knitting is where I went for an online tutorial, because before I had tried to learn from books, because I've been trying to learn to knit for a long time, before YouTube channels and all that stuff. So I think having the video really made a difference. Plus she uses very big needles and very big yarn. It's very easy to see what she's doing, and she explains why she's doing it and what you're doing to why you're doing the stitch that way. That makes a big difference for me. She has one about doing some knitted cables that I want to check out. I'm hoping it's something I can do within this little thing. I don't know how much I'm going to get. I'm hoping to get a scarf in the end, but I don't know if it's going to be a scarf. But yeah, it definitely does use less yarn than crochet, like everybody says. So that's pretty neat. Yeah, so I'll be working on this until I can buy other knitting supplies to try some other things out. I like to make a pair of socks. I would love to be able to knit a sweater before the end of the year, because this is the year of the sweater for me. So I feel like maybe I could get at least one sweater knitted. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe just a tank top sweater. We'll see how that goes. I'm not making any promises. So, but anyway, I'm very excited about this. I work on it a little bit. Well, there's some evenings I haven't worked on it, but sometimes I'll work on it till my fingers get tired, and then I'll crochet. And it's really nice because you kind of use different muscles, even though you're using your hands for both. It's just a different motion that you're doing. So it's nice to be able to still do something like that when I get tired from doing crochet. So, all right, now I'm going to talk about some acquisitions. They're from my yarn clubs. They're not from, I haven't been buying yarn except for the clubs. So I did a whole video about the Jimmy Beans Yarn Club, and this month we got all of these lovely sheep G's, I guess that's how you say it, little minis. I'm very excited about this. We got this bag. We're making a monster poof, which I'm actually going to make because I need a poof like that. So yeah, I will put links to the video I did with the review where I show you all the yarns in here, and I talk about my experience with the crochet club since it started last year in April. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to try to put one of those info links up here. I don't know how to do that yet. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I was very excited to get these because this was on my wish list to get one of these sets. So I think we'll probably get a whole set before the 3 months is up. I don't know, but that's what I'm hoping for. And I also realized I forgot to show last month's Mary Maxim Club. Just didn't even show it. I showed a picture on Instagram, but I haven't shared it here. Ooh, let's see. This month's came in this bag, which I'm not super opposed to a bag. But I certainly hope that I don't get a bag with their name on it every month, because that is similar to what Jimmy Beans was doing last year. I would rather, they were sending the plastic zipper bags, which I'd rather have because I can store what I make in there after I'm finished. So we'll see. Plus, this bag, when I got it, the seam's already coming out up here at the top, you can see. Which I can certainly fix that because I sew. But not everybody who orders crochet bags can sew, so it shouldn't be coming out already. This is a decent, it's an okay, it's not canvas, it's more like a heavyweight muslin. So, yeah. It has serged seams on the inside and things like that, so I just hope I don't get one of these every month now, because I really don't want a Mary Maxim bag every month. I really don't, so. Alright, so this month, the pattern, let's be able to make all of this stuff. Headband, well, there's 2 different headbands, wrist warmers, a cowl, and a scarf. So, that's everything that's in here. And, or this was for January. Come back. There we go. Alright, so we're using this, let's see, I have 3 balls of pink and 3 balls of the gray. This is their baby plush yarn. It's 100% polyester. It's like that velvet yarn that I've been seeing some other people have that from other companies. This is considered a number 6, although I would say maybe a number 5. It's fairly thin. It's not really super thick. I wouldn't consider this a number 6, but sometimes they put it that way because when you crochet with it, you have to make looser loops with something like this because of the friction that happens with this type of yarn. Or you won't be able to pull your loops through. 109 yards, 100 meters, 100 grams, 3.5 ounces. Yeah. I got, like I said, I got 3 of the gray and 3 of the pink. I'm not too crazy about the colors. They're not really my colors. It's pale pink and pale gray. But, and I doubt I'll be making all of this stuff with this. I do want to try crocheting with this type of yarn. But I found another pattern that is from, I believe it's Daisy Crafts Crochet. I'll put it up here. She has a buffalo plaid scarf that's made with this type of yarn pattern that I saw. I said, well, you know, I think I'll make that, and then I'll probably give it to someone because, like I said, those colors are not me. It's a very soft yarn though, and I just want to see how it is to crochet with it. So, so that was actually my Mary Maxim for January, which I forgot to share. So let's put this back in here. Let me see. Oh my gosh, I forgot to show one of my whips. I just saw my bag down here. This is, again, my Mega Maker bag, which I have one in different colors for sale on my Etsy shop. This was my prototype, which I kept. I made some changes. It has a handle on it now and everything. And they all come with the pockets. Like, it has slots for needles, and it has 2 bigger pockets on each side, and it has the tag to hang stitch markers on. So, but what's inside here is my cascading kimono cardigan. That's what it's called. It's from Mama in a Stitch. This is made with, yeah, I'm blending the silk mohair in Sunset from Line Brand, and the Heartland, which is 100% acrylic in Pinnacles. Yeah. So, and here is one of my cakes. That's what it looks like. Oop, what is that on there? It's a very fuzzy halo to this because of the silk mohair. This thing picks up a lot of fuzz. I really like the color combination. It's very soft. Let me just show you. Let's see. The last time I showed this, I left a stitch marker. Where is it at? Okay. Last time I showed this, I was right there where that stitch marker is. So now I've moved up. I have left an armhole, and I'm working on the back, which is what this is. So it's just double crochet. Most of the pattern, the little textured pattern, which I love, is just down the front panels. So this is, you're kind of making a big rectangle with armholes. And then you add the sleeves. It does have some short sleeves to it. So, and I've had the only issues I've had with this, and that had to do with when I was winding the yarn, and that's my fault. You can see little places like that where that other smaller thread is coming out. And there's some places, which I don't mind those other places as much, where the yarn just looks thicker. Like right there. Come on. And that's because when I was winding the two yarns together, I missed like a clump of the silk mohair. And so when I'm crocheting, it's better to try to crochet that held together than try to push it down, because then you wind up with a big old knot before you get to the end of the cake. So something to think about when you wind something like this together. And I had that cake, and then I have this cake I'm working on. And I don't wind it until, because I know I probably won't use all of this yarn, and I don't want to wind it all together and then have cakes of the yarn together that I don't want to use for something else. So that's my progress on this. It works. Is this right? No, that's not right. Yeah, this is the top. I'm just not sure how this is gonna sit yet, because it's hard to see how it's gonna sit, because you gotta crochet the rest of it, but all this will hang down, and you got the other part that comes around. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. I did have someone ask a question in the comments as I did a video about combining those two yarns into cakes and crocheting with it. They asked me, let me get this down here. When you combine two yarns that have different washing instructions, what washing instructions do you follow? So for example, the silk mohair I'm using in there says to hand wash and lay flat to dry. The acrylic is machine wash and tumble dry in the machine, the washing machine and dryer. So since I've added the silk mohair, which cannot be washed in the washing machine or dried, because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. All those little fun fluffy fibers are going to come off of that strand in the middle, and you have a big old mess. So I follow the instructions for the silk mohair. So now this is a hand wash, lay flat to dry only garment, because the acrylic doesn't care if you hand wash it or machine wash it. It's not going to shrink. It's not going to, acrylic is plastic basically, so it doesn't care if you hand wash it or machine wash it. So I will go by the finer threads washing instructions. So that's what you should always go by. If you're combining fibers like that, you don't follow the instructions of the machine wash thread if you have a hand wash only thread in there. Okay, if that makes any sense. So, and something else you have to watch is if one of the fibers shrinks more than the other. Having the acrylic in there actually helps prevent some of that because it doesn't shrink. Like when you see the combination of cotton and acrylic, that makes a sturdier garment when you make something with it, or whatever you're making with it. It makes the cotton shrink less. Now, it would still shrink more than something that's 100% acrylic because it does have the cotton in it. So that's something to be aware of. You should always look at the washing instructions on your yarn. Having my yarn chart has really helped me with that because I don't have to keep up with all the labels. Or you can take pictures of the labels and keep that on hand if you have trouble with your labels. But having my yarn chart, I can put all that information down below, or I have a side for care, a little column for care, so then I can keep up with how you would care for that particular yarn. So when I make something with it in my finished objects chart, which I also have, I can put the care beside it so I can remember that if I don't remember for some reason, or if I'm giving it to someone else so they would know how to wash it, right? So that's what I do when I blend yarns like that. I follow the instructions of the more delicate fiber. That will give you the best results. Okay, so the only other thing I have to share in yarny goodness is last week I had to make a correction about where my Geek-A-Long squares came from, which was Lattes and Llamas. Go check them out if you hadn't. They have a Geek-A-Long Afghan every year. It's based on a certain theme. I don't know what this year's theme is, but they also dye their own yarn. And they have yarns to go along with those Geek-A-Longs most of the time. I'm sorry, you guys, there is something. Oh no, that's part of the yarn. Never mind. So, last year, I was going to do it. No, that was the year before. It was 2017. I keep forgetting it's 2019 already. Those squares I had started, I was going to make the blanket for my son. Didn't get finished with that because it was video gamer stuff that year. And then I've never made enough squares because I was doing crochet. But now that I'm learning to knit, I would really love to make some of the knit squares because they do what's called double knit with the two colors. But I've got a little bit to go before I learn how to do that. But anyway, one year I bought the yarn for one of the squares because they had a special going if you bought for the month, whatever colors they were using. And then I didn't buy any more. But let's see. This is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. It's called Invisible Jet. There's 164 yards, 50 grams. Yeah, and it is hand dyed. So if you look, I don't know if it's going to pick up those. Okay, you see the little yellow speckle kind of on it? Those are throughout it. I can see that one better, maybe. Where's the one that's darker? There we go. Yeah, you can see it has some little speckles on it, which is what I was trying to pick off because I thought there was something on the yarn, but that is part of the yarn. Come on, focus on it. I don't understand what makes... There we go. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. Alright. I guess it's not going to focus. But, so this is basically a grayish, silverish yarn with little flecks of color in it. It's very pretty. And this one is called Daily Planet. I believe this was from their superhero Geek-A-Long. Was what they were doing. So this is really pretty too. Look at that. I think it's the color sometimes it doesn't want to focus on. But yeah. I haven't ever made anything with it. As you can see, they still have the tags on it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this because there's only 164 yards each because it was intended to make one of those squares. So I don't know. We'll figure it out one day. But I just wanted to show you the yarn that they carry. That's not something I just purchased. I've had that for over a year. So Whew, mercy. I knew this one's going to be longer because I didn't do a long one last week. So, moving on to Fabric Obsessed. Okay. I still haven't cut out my shirt that I wanted to sew, unfortunately. But I did make some progress. I don't have any finished sewn objects. Well, I do have one to show. This is an old one though. And this one actually combines crochet and sewing, which is one of my favorite things. This was a challenge that my friend Monique in the Facebook group she used to have. She has one still, but you have to be on her email list to be in that one. But she had a picture of a quilt and we were supposed to try to make our own version of it. And this was my version of it. I was trying to zoom in on my little bee up there on top of that button thing. And then I put busy as a bee down here on my little beehive, and I got some, supposed to be like a, oh my goodness, supposed to be like a bee pin cushion. It's got the little glass beads on top of the pins, which I hope y'all can see because I couldn't see that. But yeah, and then I crocheted some like lace stuff and I just sewed it to it. So yeah, you can see on the back side that the edge of the quilt is raw edge. When I make these mini quilts, I rarely do binding on them because I like the raw edge. I like to see the binding some, and with mini quilts I can do that because it's just going to be a decoration to hang on the wall. So yeah, this is something I made a while back, and I really like the combination of the crochet and the fabric. I love fiber arts of any kind, really. So alright, so next I have been working on, I haven't managed to finish sewing this up, but what I wound up doing with this, you may have seen a picture on Instagram. There were two quilt-alongs that I was following last year, 2017. I don't know. It's a blur. One was called Stars in the Night, and one was called, wait a minute, both of them say Stars in the Night. That's not correct. They both had a star theme, and I will put the people who hosted that quilt-along and the actual names of both of the quilt-alongs above here. So I had blocks from both. I didn't finish either one of them, so I decided to combine the two into a quilt of my own. I did a little layout on my graph paper, which I like to do, but I thought I'd show you some of the panels, which I still got to finish putting panels together. So this would be, this one is actually a mini quilt that I just didn't quilt, so I used it as a block in this quilt, this little sunshine. And then these are the blocks from the other quilt along, some of the smaller blocks. I use batiks. And this is just my little tab so I know what panel this is. I use these mini clothespins and a little slip of paper just so I can keep up with that. And then this is just some cotton yarn I've had forever with, no, I'm trying not to knock over my coffee cup because that would be bad. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that, but there's like little stars on there. You can't really see that in the camera, but then I use some lightweight denim to fill in some areas, and then sometimes I made up a block with my scraps. So this is a very scrappy quilt. Now this one has a bigger, these were all paper pieced, so it's a bigger star kind of block. And then this is a block from the other quilt along. She was doing side blocks with texture, building texture in your quilt blocks, which I love. Like this one here. I love the texture in it. You'll have to excuse all the I get thread on everything. On my pants, on my socks. There's thread everywhere. And I'd like to say that I apologize if I say thread sometimes when I'm talking about yarn. It all just kind of gets blended together for me, so. But this is, I love these blocks, these little textured blocks. We did different things. So that's another panel. And I didn't bring all the panels in here because they're hanging on the wall in my hallway, because that's about the only blank space I got for hanging up a big quilt like that, because it's a pretty big, I'm gonna say 72. It's probably at least 72 by 70. No, because it reaches, it's like 8 foot by 8 foot probably. It's a big quilt. So and my goal is to just get the top finished, so it'll be, and I've already emptied out the box it was in. This was the box it was in, which you can't see, but it's the third one down, and put another quilt along from my little rack over here in it, and so I could put some of my fancier yarn up there in this little thing. So that is something that I hope to finish real soon. I don't have that much left to do. I just got to finish laying things out. So, but in my maker group, we were supposed to also, along with the stretchy challenges, we're supposed to be picking a UFO to work on for the month. And I decided to pick these heart blocks and love blocks, which I had just made a bunch of different ones. I'd found a pattern for one and I'd make it. And I was going to make a whole little throw for it, but I'm just going to make a banner, like a little banner to hang is what I've decided, so I can get this off my UFO list. But here's one. And this one says love. And then this is another heart, but a heart within a heart. This was called chocolate box or something like that. I feel like it was called candy box or something. I don't know. And this one's a small one, but it has hearts and a little bird on top of the heart. And this is a long, narrow heart. Woo! Yeah. There we go. These are just heart blocks I found patterns for when I looked up Valentine's quilt blocks or something like that. I don't remember where all of these came from, y'all. I don't even know if I could possibly try to dig them out of my pattern library. And if I can, I'll put them in the show notes. But yeah, I'm gonna work these up into like a little hanging banner to hang on my mantle shelf. Because for February, I like to decorate it for Valentine's Day with a bunch of stuff like that. I just like the way it looks. So yeah, this is the fabric I'm using for the background, which has like deer antlers and flowers, which is really cute. Yeah, I think my shirt is interfering with it focusing on anything but my shirt, so I have to remember that next time and wear something that's not quite so loud. It's not really that loud, it's just a coral color, which I love, but I think it's making things do weird things. So, and let's see, I have no fabric purchases to show. I do know that my next Tilla Lily Back Quarter Club shipment has gone out, as well as my Darn Good Yarn, my Darn Good Fabric of the Month Club has shipped out as well. So next week I'll have those to show. And I'm not going to do a DIY segment this week because I don't have anything to show y'all for that. I would like to say that the wood box I showed a couple weeks ago, that my dad, the wood crate that he found, he used it to make a cat house for my grandmother's cat. So it would have a warm place to sleep. So he kind of closed in the sides and left a little opening so he could climb in there, and there's a heat lamp in there. So that's what he used it for. I think that was a good use for it. I don't have a picture of it. If I don't know that he can send me a picture because he can't go see my grandmother. She currently has strep throat, which is not good, and she usually watches this, so I hope you're feeling good. Feeling better soon, Meemaw. Yeah. Strep throat is not a fun thing to have. And I also found out that my aunt, which is my mother's older sister, I think she's the oldest of the bunch, yes. She recently found out she has thyroid cancer. She's had thyroid troubles her whole life, pretty much, since her 20s. And now she's found out she has thyroid cancer, so she has to have her thyroid removed. Well, sorry to hear that. If you're watching, Aunt Teeny, I'm thinking about you too. So, you'll be thinking about them. They're dealing with some health issues and things right now, so yeah, I didn't mean to end that on such a I would say low note, but I don't really have anything else to talk about today. I gotta get this edited and hopefully up earlier than usual. I was really hoping to be able to do the Zoom chat with Skip to My Lou and all those people. I've been watching those. It looks like so much fun, but what usually happens is that my video is uploading still. Yeah, by the time I edit this, get it rendered, get it exported from my video editing software, and then upload it to YouTube. It takes forever because my internet connection is very crappy. So, yeah. I have to do other things. I can't do anything else on my computer while that's happening at all. So, anyway, I think that, that's it for today. Just don't forget, February 4th, which is this coming Monday, is the last day to send me your email for a Valentine's Day card, because I need to get them all prepared and made and shipped out. I have more people on the list than I thought I would, so that's exciting for me. I'm very excited about that. Yeah, so just if you still want me to send you a Valentine's Day card, please just email me your address and I will do so. Please let me know what your favorite craft is, and I should be able to get those in the mail before the end of next week is my plan, to make sure they get there by Valentine's Day. So I will let y'all go. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing. If you want to hit the notification bell, you go right ahead. I don't think that thing works very well because I've hit it for some people that I don't ever get notifications for, and then some people I get like way too many notifications. So it's I just try to look through my subscribe list and see if somebody's got a new video out, and then I have, I think, 148 videos on my watch later list. So I try to make them through that when I am crocheting. So I will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week. Bye. Hey y'all, it's Christy Cook from Teadoddles. It's time for another Teadoddles Talks episode. Really?